Hello and welcome to this week's edition of Northwest Newsweek. A historic purchase of the toll bridge between International Falls and Fort Frances was completed on Friday. The Rainy River First Nations and BMI Group have partnered to take over the ownership of the structure. The acquisition by Azagan Limited Partnership marks the end of a long process that saw the American half of the bridge purchased by the group last year. The structure actually consists of two separate bridges, one made of steel and concrete and a concrete bridge side by side. The partnership also owns several other assets in the region, including sections of the former Resolute Mill property in Fort Frances. Rainy River Chief Robin McGuinness says this purchase brings stability and reassurance to the cross-border travelers in the region, as there are only 3 crossings between Thunder Bay and Rainy River.
We're a very economically driven community where, we want to make as much and be self-sustaining as much as we can. And with that, you need business opportunities. And with that, you need that international bridge. So, we're going to maintain it. We have regulatory things that we have to fulfill. We have engineering studies that have to happen every year that comes with, the things that we have to do to maintain and make sure that nothing ever happens to the bridge.
Financial details of the sale have not been disclosed, and McGuinness wants to put residents and travelers at ease that toll prices will remain the same, but he admits inflation could require an adjustment. The Ontario Provincial Police are now offering a $50,000 reward in connection to the death of a teenage girl in Manitouwadge over 3 decades ago.
Because we know someone out there has to know
was found
what
dead
happened
on
to
July
Catherine
8,
Gow.
1980. At the time, OPP said foul play was not suspected. Unconfirmed reports indicate she was found after a party at her house with her throat slashed, and police originally deemed it a suicide. Family members lobbied police to reopen the case, and in 2015, the OPP uncovered new evidence and began treating it as a homicide. OPP spokesperson Bill Dixon says offering large rewards has worked on cold cases in the past, and investigators hope it will bring someone with information out of the woodwork.
This is really an opportunity for us to reinvigorate the case, to bring this back out, to make sure that not only the media but the public is paying attention, because it's been a long time, and we know that people do forget things, but maybe that this, bringing up the news that, there's a $50,000 reward, that might not be someone's motivating factor to come forward at this point in time, but it might be something that motivates someone to say, I know something.
Anyone with information or even the smallest piece of information is asked to contact the OPP. A large fire has caused significant damage at the Resolute Forest Products Sawmill just outside of Ignace. The blaze broke out in the morning of May 15th in the facility's kilns. Details about the extent of the damage have not been released, but company spokesperson Louis Bouchard describes it as a major fire. The cause is still under investigation, and Bouchard says operations are expected to continue with some adjustments required. The company will be sending lumber to its Sapawi operation to be dried until a new kiln is set up in Ignace. The sawmill employs about 42 people, and Bouchard expects all of them to continue working. Flooding may be a bit more under control in the Thunder Bay district, but several communities to the west continue to battle water levels that some are calling historic highs. Things have gotten so intense, the city of Kenora has evacuated a section of the community over concerns it would not be able to provide emergency services should residents need them, and is where we start our coverage this week.
This is going to be a prolonged flood.
Kenora Mayor Dan Raynard is mincing no words when it comes to the high water levels in his community, and says the math is very simple to explain why parts of the city are flooding.
What we were told by the Lake of the Woods Control Board last Friday was there's twice as much water still flowing into the Lake of the Woods watershed as they can displace into the Winnipeg River.
Some roads have been closed, and the water levels have the city questioning its ability to provide emergency services and have asked residents in the affected areas to evacuate. Raynard is unaware as to how many people are affected right now, as many of the properties are vacation spots and not inhabited year-round. On the surface, the water has caused some docks and boathouses to float away, but beneath the surface, questions remain.
Until the water actually recedes, we have no idea what the damage will be to our infrastructure. what roads need to be replaced.
Elsewhere, high volumes of water in Wabigoon Lake continue to plague those living on both sides of the dam, with the government dock and boat launches closed and the nearby Dryden Yacht Club and its access road both underwater. Downstream on the Wabigoon River in the Eaton Rugby area, some residents are forced to include an inconvenient boat trip into their daily commute. However, there are some that are just diving in and risking the passage in their vehicles, while other residents of the rodent variety are just enjoying every inch of water. Meanwhile, some waterfront homes in Sioux Lookout have built up their defenses with assistance from the MNRF and the town. Mayor Doug Lawrence says the difference in water levels from last fall to now is anywhere from 7 to 8 feet.
I'm guessing maybe 15 or 20 right now. Private residences are at risk or beyond risk. Some, I think, have flooded. We're protecting with sandbags one particular road, Lakeshore. We're trying to protect that from erosion, from wave action.
High water levels are also causing some problems for local lodges who are opening for the May Long weekend, including Frog Rapids Camp, which currently has its boathouses under several feet of water. Co-owner Larry Bauer says he's used to water levels shifting around in both the spring and summer, but he calls this a historic high.
With a normal year, you probably get a fluctuation of maybe 4 feet, 5 feet, and that's every year, so you have to accommodate that. And it normally doesn't last too long. It's a continuous going up or it's going down. It would peak sometime in June or July, whereas we're kind of hoping with this high water that it peaks sooner and starts to go back down.
Bauer says many of the lakes and rivers in both the Dryden and Sioux Lookout area eventually flow into the Winnipeg River near Kenora, meaning until water levels return to normal in the east, it will be some time until the west is high and dry. Our flooding coverage continues with some dramatic video from the Pickle Lake area, where a highway washout last weekend left the community without road access once again.
Okay, look at the end.
A large culvert on Highway 599 at Wiggle Creek was completely washed away by floodwater. It happened sometime between Friday evening and Saturday morning. The highway is the only road to Pickle Lake, meaning its approximate 350 residents could only leave the community by air until repairs were completed. Pickle Lake Deputy Mayor Kayla Blakeney says it's the third time over the last week or so that the highway has been washed out. Community leadership continues to monitor the situation, but hasn't declared a state of emergency.
Currently, that's not something we're considering today. Obviously, things change. We're lucky enough to not have any municipal roads that have been compromised, so we are quite stable in that sense, and we were able to get some trucks in on Friday just between the two washouts to be able to restock our grocery stores and our gas. So we're in good spirits. We're fine right now.
The culvert has since been repaired, but conditions are changing, and drivers should exercise caution when traveling. Residents of Red Lake have once again found themselves blocked off, but this time on one of the detour routes. And surprisingly, it's not flooding related. The Ministry of Transportation says a disabled vehicle is the culprit, and photos posted online indicate it was a transport truck which is now stuck blocking the route. Highway 105 has been closed for several days now due to a washout at Buller Creek, just north of the Wabigoon River crossing. Red Lake Mayor Fred Moda says while some of the grocery store shelves are starting to show the lack of deliveries, a new route has been selected for larger trucks to make it to the community.
We've been told by the MTO Highway 601, which is a route through Dryden and a back way up, is the preferred truck route. They've lifted some weight restrictions for transport trucks to bring goods and services to the Red Lake area. And that should be the preferred traveling route for large transport trucks.
Moda says following the gridlock caused by the forest fire evacuations in 2020 and now this, the municipality will be having some serious discussions with the province as to prevent this sort of situation from happening again. No timeline as to when the blocked route nor the repairs to the highway have been given. The Pikangikum First Nation is trying to avoid an evacuation after flooding washed out the road to the community's only grocery store, and some other major infrastructure is also being threatened. Chief Dean Owen and his council are working with the Independent First Nation Alliance to mitigate potential risks to food, fuel, and access to clean drinking water. Owen says they're hoping to manage the situation before it turns into a crisis, and another costly, challenging evacuation. Thousands of Pikangikum residents were forced to leave the community last year due to forest fires. As mentioned earlier, high water levels continue to wreak havoc on communities in the northwest, flooding out or cutting off communities. The flooding couldn't have come at a worse time as the provincial election is in full swing. It is unknown as to when the water levels will begin to recede or when crews will be able to get to road repairs completed in areas of the Kiiwetinoong riding, which is both vast and made up of several remote communities. But the riding's returning officer, Karen Carroll, says so far the only difficulty they've faced is getting supplies to some polling stations for advanced polls, which were flown instead of driven. And fortunately, there have been no interruptions for voting services. However, should things get worse or voters find themselves cut off from their assigned polling stations, Carroll says there are some contingencies ready for just such an occasion.
If we have to perhaps change some locations if necessary, or offer voting services as a mobile poll as an alternative. But as of right now, we're hopeful that it won't have to come to that.
When we come back, our coverage of the 2022 provincial election continues with candidate profiles for those looking to represent the riding of Thunder Bay Superior North. This week, our look at the candidates for the 2022 provincial election swings into the riding of Thunder Bay Superior North. The riding has been held by the Liberals for almost 3 decades with Michael Gravel. Unfortunately, following a resurgence of cancer, he was forced to step aside this year. But Thunder Bay councillor Shelby Chung is looking to pick up where Gravel left off and keep the riding red. Corey Nordstrom brings us this candidate report.
Shelby Chung is the first new face for the Liberal Party in Thunder Bay Superior North in 27 years. The Thunder Bay City Councillor is confident that she has the skills to take the torch from Michael Gravel and once again ensure a Liberal victory in the riding.
I think it's important to run in this election because we need a strong, renewed voice in Queen's Park from Northwestern Ontario.
Chung believes her 8 years on City Council has prepared her to represent the riding. From her time door-knocking, Chung has found that voters in Thunder Bay Superior North have 3 main priorities they want addressed by their MPP: housing, healthcare, and education. The Liberal candidate believes she can be the one to address them at the provincial table.
Healthcare is atrocious. They're facing a pandemic, shortages, caps on wages. It's unbearable for our frontline health workers, and we need to heal those front lines. Reinvesting into our education, especially for our youth. There's not one parent I've spoken with that wants more screen time for their children, yet the Conservatives want to have more screen time for children and do away with more teachers. It's not the way to do modern education.
Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
A second-place finish in 2018 hasn't deterred the NDP's Lise Vaugeois, who is taking a second crack at becoming an MPP for the region. Vasilius Bellos spoke with Vaugeois for this candidate profile.
Lise Vaugeois came very close to winning her first provincial election run in Thunder Bay Superior North in 2018. She was narrowly defeated by just over 800 votes, losing to longtime Liberal incumbent Michael Gravel. Vaugeois says that it was difficult to come so close last time, but remains confident in herself and the NDP platform.
So I've been looking forward to running again, and the team has been looking forward to running with me. I feel very ready for this job, and I think that the NDP platform is also very strong.
Vaugeois says along with education, public services, including ensuring healthcare staffing and fair pay, are also an important part of her platform. Vaugeois concludes by stressing the NDP will be the best party to represent Thunder Bay Superior North and Ontario as a whole.
This party has always been pushing for social justice, pushing for fairness, pushing for quality public services. We know that the Conservatives are not doing that, and that's been quite explicit. And we also know that the Liberals had quite a long time in power when they didn't improve those services.
Vasilios Bellos, TBT News.
The 2018 provincial election also saw one of the 4 ridings in the Northwest turn blue. Now, the Progressive Conservatives' Peng Yu is looking to maintain or double that with a win in Thunder Bay Superior North. Jessica Clement has this candidate profile.
Peng Yu has been a member of Thunder Bay City Council for nearly 4 years. And in addition to his council duties, he has served on multiple boards. He says he wants to give back to Thunder Bay Superior North, but being the one to put the riding's key issues and concerns into the provincial agenda.
The community is hardworking, generous, and full of potential. So we need a strong voice at the Queen's Park to get things done. So Doug Ford and Peng Yu can get things done for our region.
Yu says that being a city council member has given him first-hand experience. He says a unique region requires unique solutions and feels he has the skills to help bring the riding forward.
From social issue and to economic developments and to infrastructure, everything. That's why we have to deal with those issues. So it's no other choice. You want to go backward, you want to be stuck, or you want to move forward. Only one choice to move forward is to choose PC.
Jessica Clement, TBT News.
The Green Party at both the provincial and federal level has made some gains over the last few years. And fresh off her federal run for the Greens last fall, Tracy McKinnon is hoping 2022 will provide a different campaign outcome and let her become the first candidate in Northern Ontario to represent the Greens provincially. Vasilios Bellos has the details in this candidate profile.
Tracy McKinnon previously ran for the Green Party in the September federal election, trying to win the Thunder Bay Rainy River riding. She finished in 5th place in that race, which was won by Liberal Marcus Pulowski. McKinnon is confident that election experience will be valuable during this provincial run and explains what she believes the Green Party can accomplish.
Change for future generations, for my grandson, for my for his future generations, and for the whole community as a whole at a provincial level rather than at a federal level.
McKinnon points to healthcare and reconciliation as 2 of the biggest issues on her mind during this election. Along with this, she stresses the importance of affordable housing and addressing poverty across the province. This topic means so much to McKinnon, as she knows the struggle firsthand.
I've been in my place for 10 years, just over 10 years. Since then, I've been, as I keep mentioning that I have been homeless. So to have this place to call home, a roof over my head, a place to lay my head, that is vital. If I didn't have that, I wouldn't be here doing this.
Vasilios Bellows, TBT News.
Coming up after the break, while much of the focus is on the provincial election, a reminder, there is a municipal one on the way this fall. However, some longtime mayors won't be back on the ballot this year. Two North Shore communities will see a change of leadership this fall, with the longtime mayors for both Greenstone and Terrace Bay are both retiring from politics. Corey Nordstrom recently spoke with both Ronald Beaulieu and Jody Davis as they reminisced upon their time in office.
24 years in municipal politics is coming to an end for Greenstone Mayor Ronald Beaulieu. His first 12 years came in 1982, becoming the first and youngest mayor for the town of Longlac. For the last 12, he's led the amalgamated Greenstone communities. Beaulieu felt the time was right to step aside now that the Greenstone Gold project is on track. He also felt the role had become increasingly difficult in recent years due to his other ventures.
Very difficult for me because it's continuous conflict of interest. You got to watch the conflict of interest. So personally, I feel that whether I talk about busing, apartments, commercial space, I'm always in a conflict because I am involved.
Terrace Bay's Jody Davis also won't have his name on the upcoming ballot. Davis became mayor in 2013 after serving as a town councillor for 7 years. He touts the development of Terrace Bay's waterfront, the implementation of a strategic plan, and improvements to the downtown as some of his favorite accomplishments while in office. Davis had recently retired before entering the political realm and says now he can spend more time traveling with his wife.
It's been a wonderful opportunity for me to work with the council members, the administration, and the community. It just helps you realize how vibrant our community is, and I give nothing but thanks to the volunteer organizations that we have in our community.
The nomination period for the municipal election is underway. Election day is October 24th. Corey Nordstrom, TBT News.
The Red Lake Miners are in Estevan, Saskatchewan, competing for the Centennial Cup. The junior hockey team won the franchise's first SIJHL championship last month, and it's been a dream season for Red Lake's Jordan Berensky, the team's top scorer who led his hometown Miners to the big win over the Cam River Walleye. Kurt Black caught up with him and files this report.
Almost every hockey player grows up dreaming of scoring the winning goal of a championship game. But very few actually have that dream become reality, like Red Lake's very own Jordan Baraneski.
Pushes it up ahead. Puck comes back out. Baraneski strips the puck. That's a low shot and Donska going. Not sure where he beat him, but Jordan Baraneski has made it 3-1 Miners.
Whose 44th goal of the year crowned his hometown Miners Bill Salonen Cup champions for the very first time, in the very rink the 21-year-old grew up playing in.
Yeah, it was amazing. I spent my whole life here playing in that rink all the time, and to play my last game there and win the championship, it was just, you couldn't have written up a better script for that.
Despite the Hollywood ending, it wasn't always smooth sailing for the Miners throughout their path to the Centennial Cup. But Baraneski believes the adversity helped his team reach their full potential.
We got with our rink and shut down, COVID lockdowns. Again, we had came back from the States one time, we had to isolate for 10 days and all that, There's a bunch of factors, it was a long year, but I think it paid off in the end, playoffs come around, we had we knew how to deal with that stuff. We knew how to, when we went down a game in Dryden for say, we knew how to come back from that, we learned.
The Miners' journey, though, is far from finished, as the best Junior A teams from across the country await them in Estevan, Saskatchewan. And while Red Lake has no way of knowing just how they'll stack up, if they stick with what has got them to this point, the Miners' number 11 is confident they'll be just fine.
It's going to be different. There's going to be teams who know how to deal with that. And I think it's going to be go out there and play how we know how to play, and hopefully the rest falls into place.
Well, can the Miners do what no SIJHL team has done in 30 years and capture the Centennial Cup? Honestly, I don't know. But we'll get our first hint on Thursday, when Red Lake faces off with the Pickering Panthers of the Ontario Junior Hockey League to kick off the National Championship. Kurt Black, TBT Sports.
Unfortunately, it was a rough start for the Miners at the Centennial Cup. They lost that first game on Thursday, 9-2 to the Pickering Panthers. The 10-team tournament continues all this week. And that wraps it up again for us for this week's edition of Northwest Newsweek. Thank you and enjoy the long weekend.